Have you ever run across that person that's just really awkward in conversations or social settings, or maybe even at work, that's just honestly weird and you don't really know how to handle them? Well, that's social awareness. So we're going to dive into that. How do you increase yours, and how do you help someone else overcome theirs? Okay, so let's jump into our piece today. Social awareness, part of our 4 pillars of emotional intelligence and part of our emotional intelligence series at Baton. So if you missed any of the previous ones on self-awareness and self-management, you can just go right here and you can check those out yourself, because they build upon each other as we go through this series. So you have to have those to help strengthen this one today. So social awareness really is all about that guy or that gal, right? You know, the kind of odd one out in social circles, maybe in the workplace. They're just awkward and weird. And it's because they miss everything that's going on around them. You know, you walk out of a meeting and you have a clear sense of the communication and everything else that's happened. And they walk out of that same meeting and have a totally different understanding of what really happened, which was not even close to some of the underpinnings that were going on in that conversation. When you're talking around in a circle of friends, maybe they linger a little bit too long, or maybe they're always nowhere to be found because they're always to themselves. So it's any combination of things. It's really about what social awareness is. It's about understanding the emotions, understanding the nonverbals, to get a true sense of what's going on around you. All right, so we're going to bring in Sarah with us. She's back again. So Sarah is with us, and we're going to talk about some examples of poor social awareness and give you some examples of great social awareness. So again, I'll recap it to you as I'm giving you feedback as if I were her supervisor about Sarah. Well, a big thing is that Sarah needs to listen to what's going on in meetings instead of just thinking about what she's going to say. She's dismissive of others if it has a different perspective or idea from her own. She gets so caught up in her own thoughts that she doesn't notice the nonverbals going on around her. Sometimes she's not very social, and other times she just kind of hangs around too long. So that's an example of poor social awareness. So again, let me give you an example of great social awareness if I were a supervisor giving you feedback about Sarah. So Sarah's a great active listener. You can just tell that her mind is not somewhere else when she's with you. She can pick up on the emotional undercurrent in meetings and conversations and addresses those in a way that is both respectful and load lifting. She's very good at understanding what's going on around her. So again, great example of social awareness. So now that we've seen an example of poor social awareness, an example of great social awareness, let's look at some tips on how to increase that in our own lives. Tip number 1, watch for the nonverbals. So this could be a one-on-one, it could be in a group setting, it could be in a meeting, it could be with your friends and family. It really doesn't matter. Regardless of the situation, there's always going to be nonverbals involved. Right? So if you and I are having a one-on-one conversation and we're talking, and I start checking the watch here, and I start looking for my phone, fiddling through paperwork, looking above and beyond you to see what else is going on in the work environment, those are all nonverbals that I'm ready to wrap this conversation up. And so if we stay around longer than that, then we're lingering and we're making things weird and awkward that the other person's not picking it up. Sometimes people aren't just going to say, Sarah, I'm ready to stop this conversation because that's weird as well, right? So look for the nonverbals in any of your settings that you're in your life. Number 2 is work on your listening skills. Really listen to what's being said and listen for things that aren't being said to give you a true sense of what the communication is. That's why I can walk out of a room if I have good social awareness and I can listen to a conversation by a leader and tell a pretty good sense of what's happening, and Sarah can walk out of the same meeting and not have a clue and be way off base as far as the understanding of what really happened, because she's just listening just singularly to the words that come out of the leader's mouth, and not maybe listening to what they emphasize or de-emphasize or what they left out or what they really set on for a while to get a better picture of what the real communication is that's happening around them. So listen and work on your listening skills. The third thing is feel the mood of the room or the situation. Right? So if I'm going into a situation where we're having a very serious conversation, it's probably not the time for me to drop jokes about what happened to me over the weekend. In the same sense, if I'm in a fun social gathering and we're having fun and our friends are all hanging out together, it's probably not the time for me to drop some deep emotional leadership advice into everybody, because it's not the right setting and they wouldn't appreciate it. And it just makes the whole conversation, social setting kind of come to a weird kind of halt. So the fourth tip is to be fully in the moment. So this is removing distractions from yourself so that you can focus on your social awareness skills. So if you're in a meeting, maybe if someone's taking great notes, maybe you just ask them to send you notes after the meeting and you close up your laptop and you strictly are just in the meeting. Put your phone away. Turn your smartwatch off or any of those other kind of devices that may distract you from those. It's something that I dealt with as I got a smartwatch myself, of having to overcome the distraction of just simply the vibrations that go off and notifications and things to help me. So that it was becoming a distraction for me as well. So whatever you have to do to be in the moment, do that to strengthen your social awareness. So there are 4 practical tips to help with your social awareness, or maybe help a colleague or a friend in theirs, to build that confidence, to lose that awkwardness that we sometimes have in meetings and social settings throughout our life. So think through those, work through those, apply them in your life, and make it better tomorrow.